Hello, this is Barry O'Connell, and this is my Maryland Politics Review. And tonight we're going to be talking about Prince George's County and the rather tangled webs that are shaping the race. This race is to replace Angela Also Brooks, who resigned, so there could be a special election, and she will be sworn into the U.S. Senate January 3rd. This is a big day. So let's take a tour of what the issues are. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, we've got Steny Hoyer. He was a major player in this. He supported Angela. He pushed her through. He pulled together support behind her. Um, he's a strong Angela supporter. Then lower left, you take a look and there's Angela with Jolene Ivey, and Jolene came out strongly for for Angela. Um, this was important. It gave a major player in Prince George's County coming out strongly for Angela when not everybody did. We'll talk about that more. Um, then we see Angela with Governor Wes Moore. The governor pushed hard for Angela. She pushed hard for him. He pushed hard for her. This was two strong candidates working together. First, Angela helping Wes, then Wes helping Angela. It was a important move. At the upper right, we've got Angela in her victory wave. And oh, look, there, that's me up at the top with Jolene Ivy. And it's always good to see Jolene. I've known her a long time and I respect her tremendously. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. Let's go down the list of candidates. Um, Calvin Hawkins is a popular guy, a nice guy. People like Calvin. There's some problems. Calvin's got a sketchy background. Um, Arrested for armed robbery, spent, I've heard different numbers, 5 years in prison, 8 years in prison, whatever it is. He's he's an ex-con with a prison record. And on top of that, when he got out and went to work for Rusher and Baker in the county government, he got inappropriate with one of the women in his office. This was a real problem. Um, it's a stupid, unforced error. He should not be grabbing women and kissing women that he's working with. He should not be forcing himself upon them. So you've got the armed robbery. You've got what my grandmother would have called Calvin being a masher. Masher's a good old-fashioned word. And then recently, just to spite somebody on council, he came out and endorsed one of his political opponents, um, Edward Burrows. And anyone who would come out and endorse Edward Burrows is showing that they leave a lot to be desired. That's a problem. Um, but here's the thing: the Wes Moore people don't want Wes standing next to Calvin for all sorts of pictures when those two are running for reelection because they run for reelection in 26. The governor needs a big vote out of Prince George's County. He's looking at the optics. Well, actually, his people, not Wes himself, but his people are looking at the optics of a popular governor standing next to an ex-con, and they realize that whatever is taken pictures of in 26, if West goes for president or vice president in 28, it's all going to resurface again. And then, Fox News is going to be asking the questions: how clean is Wes Moore? Here he is with a picture of convicted armed robber, an ex-con, and that's a problem. Wes's people are very cognizant of wanting West to come out of the governor's race a winner, coming out of it in a position to run for president or vice president in 28. Another candidate with a problem history is Aisha Braveboy. 2 years ago, she was the strongest candidate to replace Angela. Everybody knew it. She was building alliances and raising money and, stacking up her chips to run after Angela left. But there's always been jealousy there. You know, she shouldn't be so jealous. It's really hurt her. And then when Angela announced, she organized a protest. They did it at a metro station, and there outside the metro station, Aisha had her people protesting Angela running. It was a lousy thing to do. It was stupid. I'm not calling Aisha stupid. I'm just saying that causing these fights with Angela, and then on top of it, they do everything they can to get Dave Trone, David Trone into office. And that's a problem because what they were really saying was um, the old white guy is more qualified for Senate, even though he's only had three pitiful terms as a congressman. He didn't have any real experience. Three terms, you barely know where the bathroom is after three terms. Um, he didn't have any seniority. He didn't have any important bills to his name. I mean, he'd vote for all the usual stuff that everybody else voted for, but he was not an impressive candidate. And you know, it takes 8 to 10 years just to get a little bit of seniority that lets you be effective. Trone wasn't willing to wait that long. He was an ineffective, weak congressman. But she said he was more qualified and organized that ad where they said that Angela would need training wheels. The idea that the old white guy is better qualified than the black woman with many more years of experience. And then to say that the black woman would need training wheels is, well, 650 black women across the United States, 650 of the most prominent black women in the Democratic Party said it was racist and misogynistic. And yet Aisha's people went along with it. Foolish move. There's people on the governor's team who are looking at her and saying, we don't like the optics of Governor Moore standing next to the training wheels lady for reelection. Plus, you can't trust her. You can't, you don't know what she's going to do. She should have lined up and supported Angela, but she didn't. She sold out because the old white guy's a billionaire and he was going to buy her a blimp or something so that she could campaign in. Well, she's not getting her blimp this time around. The one who should be a safe person for Baker, I mean, for Moore um, to work with would be Rushern Baker. Popular, two-time candidate for governor, but the last time he ran against Wes Moore. And after the primary was over, people were waiting for Baker to come on out and support Moore. Take pictures together, go on out, do some public speaking. Uh, there was a perception, and this is the perception, and I don't know all the details. Is Baker mad at Moore? Is Moore mad at Baker? Why didn't they help each other? How come there was no effort to give Baker any sort of a job, even though he's incredibly well qualified? There was no room for Baker in the administration. Something happened, and that's a problem. And so you've got the three major candidates who should be strong because, they all have a big background. Baker's got two terms as county executive before two failed attempts at governor. Um, uh, Calvin Hawkins has been a strong campaigner and a strong vote getter. Aisha Braveboy um, has was the leading candidate for county executive right up until she went crazy with David Trone attacking Angela. So that leaves Jolene Ivy, and I'm proud to support her. I want to say something. I've known Jolene for about 25 years since we moved into Cheverly back in 2000. Um, her and Glenn and Julian were the first family we met in Cheverly. Um, I have a son the same age as Julian, so I remember when Glenn brought Julian up to our house to pick up my boy Max to walk down to Ivy's for a play date. The 5-year-old play dates, they were such cute kids. Um, I also noticed that every time there was a boys and girls club sport with any of the Ivy boys. There's five of them on the team. One of the parents showed up. Sometimes they were having three games at the same time, and yet Jolene would be dashing, first to this game and then to that game and then to the third game, and you'd see Glenn doing the best he could with his crazy schedule, trying to get in to see as many of those games as he could. I think the boys knew they were loved because their parents cared enough to get to those games, and they really worked hard at that. I also noticed that as neighbors, um, there was no sign of envelopes full of cash. Jack Johnson was pulling down probably $1 million a year in bribes, but that wasn't the way the Ivies lived. They lived on their pay. They were good, decent family people who went to church on Sundays, and I'm proud to have them as friends. And Jolene's going to make a great county executive. So that's where we are for tonight. And I would like to thank our friends at Jimmy's Famous Seafood who are friends of this broadcast. Good night, everybody.